Have you ever wondered if a monkey, given an infinite amount of time, could type out the complete works of Shakespeare? This is the premise of the infinite monkey theorem, a concept that has been around for centuries, used by mathematicians, writers, and philosophers alike to ponder the nature of randomness and probability. Let's imagine this metaphorically. Our monkey is an abstract device randomly tapping away at the keys of a typewriter. Each tap is a non-zero probability event, a chance, no matter how small, that the monkey will hit the right key at the right time. Over an infinite amount of time, these tiny probabilities can add up to certainty. The monkey could theoretically type out anything from to be or not to be to the entirety of Hamlet. But here's the catch. While the theory is mathematically sound, the practical real-world application is a whole different ballgame. Even with an infinite number of monkeys typing away for an infinite amount of time, the odds of even a single page of Shakespeare's works being reproduced are astronomically low. So it's a fascinating theory, but what happens when we put it to the test? In the early 2000s, researchers decided to put the infinite monkey theorem to the test. This wasn't just a whimsical thought experiment anymore, it was about to become a tangible, real-world exploration. The stage was set for a fascinating experiment, one that would take the abstract and make it concrete. The team behind the experiment comprised of dedicated and curious minds. They brought together a group of monkeys, 6 Sulawesi-crested macaques to be precise. The monkeys were introduced to a custom-made typing device. This wasn't your everyday typewriter or a sleek computer keyboard. It was a robust, monkey-friendly device designed to withstand the enthusiastic and unpredictable inputs of its non-human users. The conditions for the monkeys were as comfortable as they could be. They were not confined, and the keyboard was introduced to them as a new, interesting object in their environment. It was important to the researchers that the monkeys interact with the keyboard out of curiosity and playfulness, rather than any form of coercion. The expected outcomes of the experiment were based on the infinite monkey theorem. The researchers hoped to see a random sequence of letters and symbols which, in the vast expanse of time, could theoretically produce a coherent piece of text. The odds were infinitesimally small, but the possibility existed. After all, the theorem was all about the power of infinite time and randomness. One might wonder why the researchers would undertake such an experiment. The answer lies in the essence of scientific curiosity, the desire to translate a mathematical concept into the physical world. To see how theory fares when faced with the unpredictability of reality is a driving force for many researchers. This was no different. So, there they were. The monkeys, blissfully unaware of the implications of their new plaything, and the researchers eagerly observing, hoping for a eureka moment that would validate a theorem that has intrigued mathematicians and writers for centuries. The stage was set, the monkeys were ready, and the researchers waited with bated breath. As the experiment unfolded, the results were less than Shakespearean. The monkeys, rather than channeling their inner bard, seemed to have a singular fascination with one letter in particular, S. It was as if the keyboard was a vast ocean, but the monkeys were content to splash around in one tiny puddle. The letter S was the star of the show, appearing again and again, dominating the pages like a relentless army of snakes. 5 pages were filled, largely consisting of this one character, which was a far cry from the eloquence of to be or not to be. But the peculiarities didn't stop at the letter S. The lead male took a rather novel approach to the typewriter, treating it less like a tool for literary creation and more like a rock to be pounded upon. He began striking the keyboard with a stone, an action that might be interpreted as a critique on the futility of the task. Or maybe he just didn't like the letter S. And the other monkeys? They followed suit, but with a twist. In an act of defiance, or perhaps just boredom, they proceeded to urinate and defecate on the machine. It was a far cry from the expected tapping away until the complete works of Shakespeare spontaneously came into being. In theory, given infinite time, these monkeys should have been able to produce the works of Shakespeare. But in practice, it seemed they were more interested in turning the typewriter into a bathroom fixture than a writing instrument. Contrary to the theoretical expectations, the monkeys did not produce a single coherent sentence, let alone a Shakespearean sonnet. This sharp contrast between theory and reality was as surprising as it was bewildering. Instead of a carefully crafted iambic pentameter, The researchers were left with a mess to clean up and a handful of pages filled with the letter S. Clearly, the monkeys were not on track to produce Hamlet or Macbeth. But what does this mean for the infinite monkey theorem? Despite the disappointing results, this experiment offered valuable insights into the nature of probability and randomness. We might be tempted to dismiss the experiment as a failure, given the monkeys' less than literary output. However, it's crucial to remember that the infinite monkey theorem never guaranteed a quick or easy result. In fact, it emphasizes the opposite, stating that the probability of a monkey typing any specific text, like Shakespeare's works, is incredibly slim. The monkey's output of mostly S characters and their unconventional use of the keyboard actually aligns perfectly with the theorem's predictions. Probability is a tricky concept to grasp, especially when we're dealing with infinites. In the grand scheme of things, our experiment was a blink of an eye compared to the infinite time the theorem considers. The likelihood of our monkeys producing a Shakespearean sonnet in that brief time is minuscule, almost non-existent. Yet it's not zero, and that's where the intrigue lies. This experiment isn't just about monkeys and typewriters, it's a fascinating exploration of what non-zero probability truly means. It tells us that even the most unlikely events are possible given enough time. But it also highlights how incredibly vast enough time can be when we're dealing with infinites. The concept of infinite time is not just a mathematical abstraction, it's a fundamental aspect of many scientific theories, from the eternal universe in cosmology to the endless cycles of time in quantum physics. In the end, our monkey experiment serves as a vivid illustration of these complex mathematical and scientific concepts. It's a playful yet profound reminder that even the most unlikely events can occur given enough time. But it also underscores the vastness of infinity and the slim chances of specific outcomes in a world ruled by randomness. So, while our monkey friends may not be budding Shakespeares, they've given us a lot to think about when it comes to understanding probability and randomness. So what can we take away from this experiment? Well, the infinite monkey theorem intrigued our minds, didn't it? It's a thought-provoking idea that a monkey randomly hitting keys on a typewriter, given an infinite amount of time, could potentially type out the complete works of Shakespeare. However, when theory was put to the test, the results were far from poetic. Instead of sonnets and plays, we got pages filled mostly with the letter S, and a typewriter turned into a makeshift toilet. Our primates were more interested in bashing the machine with stones than in creating literary masterpieces. This experiment serves as a reminder of the vast gap that can exist between theoretical models and real-world outcomes. Theoretical models like the infinite monkey theorem can provide valuable insights and spark fascinating discussions. However, when we test these models in the real world, the results can be unpredictable, and more often than not, they make us question our assumptions. So while the chances of a monkey typing out Shakespeare's works remain infinitesimally small, we've learned that theoretical models help us understand complex concepts, and real-world testing keeps us grounded in reality. The next time you hear the clatter of a keyboard, just think, it could be a monkey typing out the next great masterpiece, given enough time, of course.